Hi, my loves. Hi, guys. Emily, guys, hi again. Hello, hello. Dr. Amanda Cohen in the house. Here she is. Hi, Danielle.
Hey, oh,
There she
I'm
is.
very close. Let me,
Oh my God. I know. That's what happens when you're all super far and then it goes live with
I'm
two
just gonna
people.
back up here.
You look amazing. Look at you.
I just figured out the spring light thing. I got it for free. Well, it's like a bootleg version. So,
By the way, I'm now only doing anything with the fucking ring
wow,
light.
what a difference. Wait, I feel like the neighbor in the home improvement. Wait, let me just,
Oh
I have
yeah.
it. Okay.
Yes, situated, no rush. Hi, everyone that's joining. Hello, hello, hello. For those who are joining today, we have Amanda Cohen, Dr. Amanda Cohen from Source Point Wellness. We're so lucky to have her.
Hi,
She's an
everybody.
acupuncturist, an amazing woman. And how would you introduce yourself? Do tell.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, me in a nutshell. So I'm a doctor of Chinese medicine and functional medicine. So I look at the body as a garden, basically how to sort of balance all the elements, the mind, body, and spirit from the Eastern perspective. And then I like super nerdy scientist, functional medicine doctor where I do labs and genetic testing, stool testing, allergy testing, a bunch of it's called functional endocrinology. So looking at hormonal imbalances. And then I do a lot of magical stuff. So esoteric acupuncture, so balancing chakras with the acupuncture needles and sacred geometry. I created some goddess treatments. And this past year, I've been doing a lot of virtual acupuncture, which I'm sure people have questions about. So I can talk more about that.
That's actually my introduction to you was through the virtual acupuncture, which was I was like, what the
Yeah.
hell is going on? This is so cool.
Yeah.
And it was like such an interactive experience. I'll finish what you were saying, and then I'd love to revisit that because I know a lot of people
Oh,
have
well,
questions.
I think I'm just kind of nerdy, magical scientist, healer person.
I
So I
love
get geek out about magical things and science equally. So you kind of get everything. I'm also primary care, so I can do like everything, like GI stuff, a lot of anxiety, a lot of, like I said, a lot of hormone balancing, food sensitivities, brain fog. I mean, kind of just like a lot of the things that are kind of those mystery, weird things that Western doctors can't really figure out or kind of dismissive. I'm like, ooh, let's figure it out. And I always do.
Totally.
Um,
Yeah, you do. Absolutely. It's so funny you're saying the brain fog thing because this week, I'm not sure what's happening, but my brain and schedule have been completely missing each other. And so today I got on to Instagram. I was like, hey, Amanda's going to be here. It was 5 o'clock. And I'm like, shit, she's not going to wait, guys. I'll see you in an hour. And so I was telling my girlfriend that. She was like, I bet Amanda will be like, I have a little acupuncture point for that. And you will know in the again. And I was
yep.
like, it's true, probably.
Yes,
Um,
it's true. Couple
yes,
points.
and
Yeah.
to everything you're saying, absolutely. As a patient of yours, absolutely. There's a scientific, nerdy part, if you will, and then there's this beautiful blending of this understanding of the metaphysics and how you really
Yeah.
just how the two engage with each other is just so beautiful, and it really
Oh, thank
the
you.
word holistic is absolutely like perfect for what you do. So yes, I want to hear. I have a couple things. One, I want to hear about the virtual acupuncture because I know everyone on
Okay.
here has questions about it, I'm sure. And then
Yeah.
also the goddess. You're saying goddess formulas, or what were you saying?
Yeah, so that's something I've been working with. I work with a lot of just personally, a lot of Egyptian and Hindu goddesses. And so I just kind of in meditations kind of downloaded patterns of how they wanted to express themselves through the meridians and the acupuncture points. So I work a lot with Sekhmet, and she is one of the Egyptian goddesses. She has the head of a lion, the body of a woman, and I use her for like standing in your power and really claiming your boundaries and fierce, just being really fierce. I have a Durga treatment, which is all about also kind of it's different, but also really really for people that are ready to just make a change and stand up for themselves. So a lot of empowering treatments. I have a Lakshmi one that's bringing in abundance and love. I have a Hathor one, which is all about deep nourishment. So they just kind of come to me and then I write them down. And then people just tell me what's going on. I'm like, hey, what do you think about, bringing this in? I mean, not everyone is, I really can be very Western and I can be very magical. And so I kind of have to gauge what people want, but it has been very popular. So that is something I can do in person and also virtually. And that was just kind of building on my teachings of esoteric acupuncture, which is built on sacred geometry and a lot of use of triangles. And that my teacher is Mickey Osenki. He's amazing. So kind of expanded, again, kind of a more feminine version of what he does. So I just started to think about that. And then the virtual acupuncture was something that kind of was birthed before COVID, actually. I've been initiated into different lines of different Reiki lineages. And I don't know whoever's listening, if they've been initiated. Ooh, oh no, timber. Don't talk with your hands, Amanda. Okay. So what you can do with Reiki level 2 is you're able to, I mean, it's pretty freaking cool. You can like bridge the space-time continuum and like heal someone anywhere in the world. So I was just kind of practicing on my friends in New York and Canada and Europe. Like, hey, like, can I just practice on you? Like, let's just get on the phone and just tell me what's going on. And so I started working with one of my friends in New York who had a lot of brain fog and headaches and low energy. And I just started to kind of envision doing the points because I know the points so well. Like I have like a love affair with all of them. I love them and they're little portals. And so I just started to envision using Reiki, but then kind of honing in more specifically with the meridians and the acupuncture points so that I could actually help open, like clear her mind and give her more energy. And she's and this is she's one of my dear friends from college, and she is not a magical person at all, but she was like, oh my God, this works. Or she's open to it, but it's not like, and then I just started to experiment. I've had a lot of personal background in headaches and migraines. And so that was something that I specialize in general, in my in-person practice, but, I was, people who had pain, I just started to see, hey, can I do this from a distance? And it was working. And then COVID hit. I still stayed open, but some of my patients were a little bit concerned to come in the office. So I'm in Los Angeles. And so I was like, hey, let's just try this. And they just loved it. And then I started to offer it for like COVID support. And then with Black Lives Matter, it was just kind of a give back pro bono thing that I still do. And I just was practicing a lot and I was getting amazing results, and then just started to treat people all over the world. And it's freaking awesome because if someone has pain, it's actually the most impressive because people are like, yeah, I feel pretty good. It's like, you can't tell. But if they're like, I have a migraine and then it's gone, like that's pretty awesome. And they're like in another country. So I've just been so excited about these results and meeting all these incredible people all over the world that I just decided to teach it. And so I still practice it, but I partnered with one of my amazing coaches, mentors, Jen Kosh, and her Reiki is pretty awesome. Like she has shown me symbols I've never seen before. Like, I don't know, like stuff about like past life, time healing, and like grounding to the earth, like not stuff I've ever seen. So I talked to her, I was like, hey, do you want to collaborate and just start to teach people this? Because I think that this is something that we really need. And the cool thing is that you don't need needles to do it. So it's something, so
or like any formal training, correct? Like you can just be completely green off the street.
Yeah, you could be like a banker or whatever, because I don't know who's familiar with getting Reiki training, but a lot of the certifications can be, a few months over like an extensive weekend. I mean, there's different varieties of learning Reiki certification. With Reiki and a lot of healing modalities, you don't need you can be certified, but you don't need like a license to practice. I mean, I recommend people getting healer insurance just to like cover their butts. But so we're designing something where we're infusing Reiki with the meridians and the acupuncture points and teaching people basically what I do, how to clear pain, how to boost the immune system, allergies, congestion, headaches, neck pain, shoulder pain, all that stuff. Like I'm teaching it how I do, like super simplified, and going over anatomy and the emotional, the physical applications of the points, because they don't just have physical, they have spiritual applications too. And training in a way that's like, hey, you can learn this and do something with it right away. And you have that encouragement, because I think we get a lot of these trainings, and I had this with school where I just like hung my shingle and was like, my first patients were like my grandparents and my dad, which was amazing. But this is something where you actually have a community that we're going to guide people to actually begin a practice or add on to their practice or do this on the side, and actually how to make money doing it. Because I think that, I mean, a lot of, this is really designed for the course called High Priestess Healing. It's really designed for people who are busy and already working, whether they could be healers or be doing something completely different, but they just kind of feel like I would love to go to acupuncture school. I'd love to learn more about this modality, but I just don't have the time or the money to do that. And so it's basically creating community to learn how to do that and be able to go over, okay, I have someone that I'm working on that has, you know, this weird ear pain and like this headache, and they're fatigued all the time. Like, what do I do? And being able to have an application of how to do that. So it's pretty awesome. I've been working on it for a year, and it launches next month. So
that's so
yeah.
exciting.
Yeah,
That's
I'm so
amazing.
excited. I'm so excited.
So it starts on which day, and what does that look like, the commitment?
Yeah. So because I designed this, because I'm a really busy person, I have a full practice, I manage a whole wellness center, and I'm also doing this. So I want it to be something where like you learn how to, like, when I was going through all my textbooks, I reread like probably 5,000 pages of text that I had to learn in school. I'm like, this is so poorly written. Like, this is so confusing. So I just made it like super simple and how you can apply it right away so that you learn each time you're layering. So the commitment, it starts February 16th, and it's going to be over Zoom, 5 to 7. And it's every other week. So, you know, and
I love, by the way.
yeah, it's like every week's
Like
too much.
and
You have to
process.
integrate.
Yeah.
Integrate. And then, you know, I'll have everything kind of on a platform where you can watch, like I'm going to have a model where show where the points, how to find the points, and just like references to go over, because I think with this, you really have to be hands-on. You have to like, oh, okay, like, you know, this is for the heart, this is for the lungs, like just feel it and understand, and then have that reference. And then, yeah, so it's like you kind of keep building, and then each course, you know, you get the introduction, we go over one meridian and the organ that's associated with, and literally like each one I'm falling in love with. I'm like, oh my God, I love the spleen. Like I love the spleen so much, and like this, all the wonderful things the spleen does, and these are all the things that you can do to help people to have like just strength. Their spleen is all about digestion and energy and being nourished, so how to really support yourself and other people to do that. So and then the other thing too is that looking kind of at, I don't know, this is, you can ask me a specific question, but I had something that I was kind of wanted to also say. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So my experience before I became a doctor was I always was like a health mystery for everybody. And I had chronic migraines, I had chronic pelvic pain, debilitating anxiety, and people were like, oh, you just need to meditate more, do yoga. I was like, I'm going crazy, and no one would ever listen to me. And so it took me a long journey to get to a place where I was like, I wanted to become the doctor I wish I always had, who was like really listening and nurturing and just being validating, like, oh, that totally makes sense. Do you see why? And like explaining it. And I definitely think the way that I practice medicine is very feminine, in the sense that it's much more like cozy. Like everyone that comes in, it's like, you know, we talk for like half an hour, and then we do points and integrate into the session what we talked about and like why. And it's very collaborative. And
very
I also,
womb-like too. Just
it's
like
so womb-like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's so womb-like.
completely taken care of
I
from the
do.
moment you walk into your space to the moment you leave. Like
Yeah.
Rosie is the perfect word for it, and very yin, like you're saying, very, very feminine.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's so missing. It's so missing, and I think like the team that I have at Source Point Wellness. I know you know Marisol, but we have Wade and Jen and Vincian, and they're all like the most wonderful people, and they all have that big heart. And so I literally feel like it's a family. And so anyway, I always felt very alone in my health, and I just never want anyone, at least that comes into contact with me, to feel that way or needs help, because I think that like it's so isolating when you're in pain and no one can figure it out and you just get so depressed. And I know that feeling. And I really just don't have pain very often anymore. But if I do, I have my team of people that I go to. And so that is something that happened with, I think, the pandemic, is that people were feeling very scared, very isolated, very alone. And I think just being able to help people from a distance was very helpful for them, because I could still support them and provide that for them even if they weren't coming in person. And I want more people to be able to do that. And I don't think you really don't need to go to school for 8 years like I did and spend $400,000 on education. Like, you don't need to do that. Yeah. Paid it off.
Yeah,
But
baby.
but
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but I just think it's like there's so much need now and people need help now. And so it's just like, it's 4 months, the training. And for level one, so level one is really working on really knowing the points and the anatomy and being able to treat yourself and someone in person. And then level two, we go more into you get Reiki certified one, and then in High Priestess Reiki. And then level two is going more into the mental, emotional trauma, the goddess treatments, more of the sacred geometry stuff, more advanced pain points and stuff like that. So, but the cool thing, and I was talking to Marisol, who's one of my best friends who works with me at Source Point Wellness. She's amazing. The room that she is in, I mean, you've been in it, is like a womb. Like, it's like a little, like, it's amazing.
Cozy
And
and
she does womb healing and everything. And one of the things, if for people who are practitioners, that it's like you have to spend a whole hour with someone, like one-on-one, where this allows you to be able to, there's like acupuncture magnet stickers that I'll show people how to use them, that you're able to literally give someone a treatment with those magnets and be able to have them rest. So you could actually see 2 people in an hour, which actually doubles your time. Mm-hmm. So in the sense that you're able to help more people, and then also just energetically, because I think we do get depleted as people who are working with people all the time, to have a modality that you can actually like split yourself into 2 rooms. So I know I'm just excited because I think that it's something that we have a great group already, and I think it's something really needed. And I'm so excited. I just love Chinese medicine so much. I love Reiki so much, and I'm so excited that they got married. Yeah, so that's about that.
I love that. I'm so excited for it. And also, too, guys, Amanda and Jen have been so amazing, and actually are offering a discount code for the Open Eye community too. For those who are interested, it gives you a $200 discount to their program. So if you go on to, I believe we put it up on our link tree as well, but on Amanda's, so Source Point Wellness on Instagram. And if you check out, use the promo code Cohen, and it gives you $200 off.
Yeah.
So,
and we have payment plans. So, and we also have scholarships too. So we have a scholarship application. We're also partnering with Gwella, who's also doing some scholarships. So we all just want to help, if people are interested, to be able to afford this. And it's Coven with a capital C. And it's for the payment plan option. But yeah, I'm super excited. So,
oh my God, I'm so excited too. I keep like doing, I'm like, okay, I should do it. And also too, I'm like, actually shouldn't be a reason for me not to, because it's going to be recorded. And so even if I can't make it live, I have also 2 weeks to watch it before the next one. So I'm going to get up on that.
And I think just what's cool is that we do like case studies, so we can go over like, I have this person with this, this, and this. This is what I think. What's so cool is with this medicine, there's many ways to treat people. There's like 5 different types of headaches, that if you know where it is, you can clear it within a few seconds. But it's just like, you have to be trained to know, okay, this is stomach, this is gallbladder, this is urinary bladder. So just kind of having the tools to just be able to do something to help more people. Like that's the goal, and community.
I feel like a lot of the people here too, it's, people aren't just a Reiki practitioner. Also too, for those who aren't Reiki certified, you will be Reiki certified as well.
Yeah.
But, my main shtick is crystals, and someone to the right of me, like their main thing might be theta healing or quantum, all these things where it's a layering. And to your point, 8 years, it's like, I'm not trying to do this one thing for that long, so it's just this adding, this layering of just the fleshing out of the healing process is just so vital. And even for me, like, I don't do crystal healings on other people. I talk to them about it, but for me, like, if I can actually, if I could be like, oh yes, using this crystal on this point for this purpose, and like, oh my God, how beautiful.
Yeah. Well, that's
and like,
the thing.
What a service to other people, like sharing that.
Yeah, I think that is something that I know we talked a little bit about how Chinese medicine, the crystals, the colors are a little different sometimes from the chakras, but using a point like a citrine on a spleen point will enhance its ability to help you digest. So it's like you're actually, it's like so cool because it's like about getting more specific and quicker and more long lasting results, which is like, we all want that, as receiving it and delivering this. And so, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. This is like, we chose the high priestess because she embodies all aspects of healing and all aspects of wisdom. So it's kind of like you learn this modality, but you make it your own, like you're able to have the foundations where you can like treat people efficiently and quickly and kind of get the physical body under control. But then you can kind of go deeper into these layers because there's so many, there's so much trauma, there's ancestral trauma, there's lineage trauma, there's just things that we carry. And I think that what's so exciting, when I'm working with people in person and also virtually, is that we just keep unlayering and just getting to the good stuff. Like it's really exciting. So I see it as just kind of clearing the way so that you can do the crystal healing even better, or you get the theta healing, or the cranial sacral, or the hypnotherapy, or if you're a lawyer and you're just like, I want to be a healer and I want to have this tool, but I can only do it on nights and weekends. Like you can do that, like that's kind of, it's super attainable.
I think for people, going back to your point of this isolation of feeling alone and also just like clueless, even if you are really intuitive with your body, just being like, okay, I know I'm feeling this, and yet I have no resolution. There's nothing.
Yeah.
I can't connect the dots. And it's hard. And even if it's just for yourself to be tuned in like that and to have the wisdom or the knowledge of that is really, really, really important. Or someone that, if you're a caretaker, even if it's not even in a metaphysical way, to have that is just so, so, so important.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I have a question about something me and my girlfriend were talking about. We were thinking about questions. A couple things. One, going into like your 8-year schooling, what assumptions did you have about acupuncture that were kind of debunked after you started practicing or really started your schooling?
So my background, So great question. So before I went to Emperor's College, which is number 2 in the country for Chinese medicine, it's in Santa Monica. I know, very proud of my alma mater. In a very traditional education, I went to Cornell University. I had double bachelor's in psychology and anthropology. And then I went to UC Irvine on a full scholarship for a doctoral program in psychology and social behavior. And so I was doing research all the time. And I was, on the path to being an academic. And that's when I had all my migraines and everything that my soul was like, this isn't right. So I went from a very traditional to, when I started to learn about acupuncture to help with my migraines, and I was like, I just wanted to switch gears and become more of a physician and less a researcher. So, I mean, that's such a nutshell of my journey. But anyway, I expected when I went to school that it was going to be super easy, and compared to what I did, it was so hard. Like it was not only do you learn everything an MD learns, like everything, pharmacology, anatomy, physiology, we did cadavers, we did all of that training, but we had to learn herbs, like formulas, interactions between formulas and Western medicine. And it was very, it was medical school. It was medical school meets Harry Potter. It was hard, and it was, but it was great because I made such great friends, and I got a great education, and then I went on to do the doctorate and specialized in functional medicine. So, but I think that what I've noticed is that it is very Western, in you have there's classical acupuncture, which is what I practice, which I learned from, I have a few mentors. Robert Chu's my main mentor for Chinese medicine, where it's pre 1970s when they tried to make Chinese medicine Western medicine. So it's very much based on the points from sorry, I'm like I feel like I'm so smushed. Okay, so
yeah, I know.
it's fine. From hands and feet to the arms, and kind of knees down, elbows down, and those points have the most energy, most blood, and most chi. So those were when they practice this type of medicine on kings and queens. So it's a very regal type of acupuncture, and it's very effective. So that's what I practice, and that's not what I learned in school. So what I learned is that it was basically like going to medical school, but it was almost like in the 70s, they kind of mowed over all of the magical stuff. And so the way that I practice is before that happened. So very much balancing out the elements. I mean, there's a lot of wonderful things in the more westernized version of Chinese medicine. I just use older training than that. But that's again, the way that I practice in the course that I'm creating is bringing kind of the divine feminine back to that, where it's more about when you going over my textbooks, they talk about the heart is the emperor and the liver dominates, and there's governs, dominates, control. There's all of these very kind of more aggressive terms that and kind of sweeping away and making it more like the way that it used to be. So that was kind of interesting because I kind of thought it was going to be easy and really out there, and it wasn't. It was very hard and very like going to medical school. So, but it's cool. I loved it. I mean, I'm so glad I did. I learned so much. So, yeah.
That would never be an assumption of mine that it was going to be easy. I mean,
I don't know why I thought
you
that.
taking the pulse of being
oh, so hard.
of being okay, you're barely touching your skin and being it's very thundery, or it's or it's a muddy pulse, or I don't know.
Wiry, yeah.
But it's just more
wiry, slippery. Yeah.
Whoa, what is that? Or slippery, or whatever you say.
Yeah.
Or I mean, for me, I'm well, that is way above my pay grade, just right off the bat. But
yeah,
really, it looks so intense, and that's thank you for the insight of that.
Yeah, it was way more intense. I had no idea it was going to be so hard, but it also has the I do remember though, one of my first weeks going from this very rigorous UC Irvine academia to Emperor's College, where it was very hard, but then it was very there were a lot of out there people. So I would be studying, and then this guy would be playing his Native American flute next to me. So you also had that kind of interesting, fun balance.
Totally.
We did a ropes course and stuff our first year. It was not, it was a nice community. So.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And also the herbalism thing too. I mean, that's
love it.
Fucking whole other thing in it.
Oh, so magical. I love herbs so much. Oh my gosh. They're incredible.
They're just, I mean, yeah, obviously. I mean, with that, do you see any trends or fads, if you will, now and thinking okay, this fad is dangerous, or this fad is that's something people should be paying attention to. This one is, I don't know. But you see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I am very focused because I do functional medicine. I go by labs a lot. So I can go by tongue and pulse and Chinese medicine, and I can support with that modality with acupuncture and herbs. But when people come to me, I kind of have both brains on. So I think that one of the things I've always had a problem with, so to speak, is like that people get their supplements from like Whole Foods or whatever, and there's like an expert there who just like sells them things, and I'm like, oh, so I love labs. I like seeing exactly what people need. They're not that expensive to run. I do super comprehensive labs because I think that the supplements are powerful, herbs are powerful, and to really know exactly what you need to be working with someone, because most of the time people come to me and they're like, here's the 20 things I'm taking. And I'm like, wow, like your white blood cell is off the chart. So you probably have a gut infection and not absorbing anything. So, so it's like, you got to kind of get the body ready to be able to receive those things. And I think every person's different. So I think that, I feel like I'm part Italian, part Jewish. I have very like Jewish Italian grandmother vibes. Like I do like people eating. I think that a lot of issues stem from low blood sugar. A lot of, as coming from anxiety background and specializing in anxiety, a lot has to do with blood sugar dropping. And so I don't love intermittent fasting for women because it does affect your hormones. I mean, everyone's different, but I don't love that one. But it's a case by case basis. But I think it's more, I think there's so many things, especially with COVID and all of these immune support things, like there's so many amazing, incredible things out there. And, but I think like your day-to-day supplements, I think the average person that I see comes to me with like 20. And I'm like, that's too much. Like it's not sustainable. So, I think.
So you think too, like if someone's like chart or their labs were like, they need this, this, and this, and if it was like, you think 20 would be too much? Or, I mean, I guess it's obviously like on the person.
I think it depends on the person, but I think it's also like I want long-term results and sustainable plans. So like no one's going to be able to monetarily afford that, and also like it's hard to take that. And so I try to like phase things and like, okay, month one we're going to do this, and do you understand why? And so it's like very personalized, and that's where the functional medicine comes in. And then alongside of that, they might be taking Chinese herbs that I have kind of done a thorough diagnosis from them of like exactly like, oh, we're supporting your blood and your energy and your adrenals, and kind of pairing them together, because a lot of times one thing can do a lot of things, so you don't need to be taking. And I think that really listening to the body and seeing it, I see labs as like a roadmap of what people need. And so the nerdy scientist in me, I don't like when people overprescribe things and they don't even run labs. That's something that I don't love. And I think so many physicians do that. But I mean, there are some basic things that are great that you don't need to run labs for. But that's just one thing that I don't like.
Yeah. No,
I don't know if that's a fad, but it's definitely something I see. And that I see that a lot of people have some things going on in their gut where they can't even absorb what they're eating, what they're taking. So it's like, let's get your gut fixed first and then go from there.
Yeah.
So
there's this thing I got on Instagram, like those Instagram ads. It was probably like back in March. And it was this thing, it was like every single day you can essentially like pee on a stick. It has like a little barcode that you scan with your phone, and it tells you all your levels. And I was like,
wow,
oh, that's really
that's
cool
interesting.
idea. And so I got it, and I didn't realize it was like gonna ship at the end of the year. Like it was like a whole like 9-month awaiting situation. Finally got it. And so I was like, oh, I downloaded the app, I peed on the stick, and it comes up with all these different colors, and your phone reads it. And it just felt like it very much missed the mark. And I think it was like the first run of it. So I think obviously it'll get better.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what it was is, which they don't obviously tell you at the beginning, is they're like, oh, you need this, this, and this. And like, it's perfect. Yeah. So now you can order them right here on your phone, just add to cart. And, but I mean, all these things where it's like you're low in this. And I'm like, well, it could be two things, right? I'm like, well, I take that every day. So that seems kind of off, like that they would say that. So I do like magnesium, like you're low in magnesium. And I'm like, I take it every day. I also know that's the first thing you burn off if you're stressed out, right? So maybe I'm just super stressed out all the time. I don't know why.
Probably not. I don't know. None of us are.
It's like so bizarre, but it was just like a good idea. And it's like these things, it's like this play between trying to take self-healing into your own hands and kind of
Yeah.
be your own advocate, and then also kind of, you know, and then having a professional check your blind spots.
Yes. And just having that feedback and accountability, like understanding, like I'm all about education. So like when I go over labs, like we spend an hour and I'm like explaining each part of it to understand why you would need this or why it wouldn't be appropriate to take this, and this. And I think that there is a lot of marketing out there. And I think that health is a big area. And so I think that what I like to do, that's why I love pairing acupuncture with that, is really working on that clarity within yourself. Because like, say, you know, a lot of people are walking around with brain fog and fatigue and they don't know what they want. I mean, like, for example, working on, so the different organs and meridians have different associations with them. So the gallbladder is all about moving forward and making decisions in clarity. And so I always work on clarity with people because I really want them to trust themselves and make decisions for themselves. So it's like, oh, do I want to eat this or this? And it's like that check-in that I think a lot of us are missing, where it's nice to have someone to talk about these things, but also to learn as you clear the pain, as you clear the fog, as you get more energy, like, what do I really need? And maybe, you know, you need a burger, or maybe you need a big salad, you know, or maybe you need a smoothie or whatever. But I think what you take and what you know, exercises you need to do, all of that stuff, if you trust yourself and you're more clear, like, then I've done my job, you know. I sort of guide along the way, but I think that there is this lack of trust. Like I like labs as a baseline to see where people are at, and just to get you strong, but then it kind of like, you don't need all that stuff after a while. You shouldn't, you know, unless you're eating McDonald's every day, then maybe.
Yeah, but so what would someone, for someone who, like, for instance, has never gone to an acupuncturist, when would someone visit an acupuncturist versus a traditional Western doctor?
Okay, great question. So in California, acupuncturists are considered primary care. So, you know, pre-COVID, like, you know, we do colds and flus, stomach bugs, migraines, you know, all kind of the stuff you would go to like your internist. And we are very much trained, and this is something I'm going to train too, because in the High Priestess Healing, is that when to refer out, because that's really important to a licensed practitioner or an MD. I have a lot of MD friends, so I work collaboratively with them. So I would say that, so you could go for like just general things, but like you would a regular doctor. If you're in California, if you're outside California, then it may be a little bit different depending on their life, like the state. But I think that what I would say is the weird things that no one can figure out. Like, I mean, like I said, I see so many people who've had migraines and headaches their whole life, or had congestion their whole life. And then we just clear it up. We get to the root of it and then it's okay, you know, and then they're feeling great. So it's kind of like, when you've been going and bouncing around specialist to specialist and no one quite gets it. I've been trained both Eastern and Western with the functional medicine to look at everything as a system. So how your brain affects your thyroid, affects your gut, affects your hormones, and how they're all related. So I would say for sure, always like long-term pain issues, mental health issues, like, you know, anxiety and depression. Of course, if there's some severe depression, then you want to be also working with a psychiatrist or a licensed therapist. So when you come to me, for example, we look at all of your systems. So if you're like, oh, I've been having constipation forever and like headaches 3 times a week. And so we look at everything, because it's not just your headache. It's not just your gut. Like, there's your whole body, there's hormones, there's everything. So, I think if you're looking for answers where you've been kind of feeling unheard or unvalidated or just bouncing around a specialist, I think that's the time to kind of look outside of the traditional medicine, which I love traditional medicine as well. Like, I totally respect it. I think obviously COVID, you know, like that is a complete, don't see an acupuncturist if you have COVID, or anybody. But like, I think that, long-term lasting results is something that with Chinese medicine and functional medicine is something I know that I can provide, and I can say that my colleagues do as well, who are also in similar fields. Really more integrated care where they just take the time to get to the root of issues. Not all acupuncturists are herbalists, so maybe they've been trained, but they don't do that. So I think if you do see an acupuncturist, it would be nice if they also have training in herbal medicine, because it's so beautiful. But yeah, I think if you're looking for holistic support and you just haven't gotten the results that you have needed in the traditional care model, that would be a way to seek out acupuncture and Chinese medicine and
That's
functional
my
medicine.
introduction to it as well, because when I was in college, my body has never responded like this. When I was in high school, when I got really nervous or when I had a lot of anxiety, I'd have a very visceral response. I'd throw up. Not in a
Yeah.
bulimic way, but in like my body, like the nerves,
Yeah.
I couldn't keep food down, like around tests and SATs, forget
Oh,
about it. But then that totally
yeah.
shifted when I went to college, because when I went to college, I think I had it was a lot more anxious than my mind led to believe, and my body, my hair started to fall out. And thankfully, I have a shit ton of hair, so like I had some I had like some wiggle room with it. And my hair was coming out like crazy, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" My mom sent me a black tourmaline. She said, "But it's under your pillow," and that did help. That was like kind of one of my first introductions to crystals as well. But then my sister was like, "Go see an acupuncturist," and I was in San Francisco. I went across the bridge, went to an acupuncturist. I swear to God, from that moment on, my hair stopped falling out. And by the way, being in LA, we have access to so many specialists. And I was calling all these people from alopecia specialists. I'm like, dude, there's no way that there isn't hair falling. Are you kidding me? Like, we're in Hollywood, of course. Like, all these men that like have hair all of a sudden, like when they were bald for like all these years, like, there has to be someone that can help me with this. And everyone, they're just like, yeah, it just happens sometimes. I'm like, no. And so I'm really glad that I did go see an acupuncturist, because there were finally answers, and not only answers, like a solution. And so, yeah, like where you're finding dead ends, like don't stop.
Yeah, there's going to be someone out there that can help you. And at least just coming from my experience, because I was that person bouncing around, I had every possible ailment. So I know what that feels like. And so I'm just like, oh, that is not okay. Like you have to find someone who can hear you and get to the root of it. And that's interesting, just with this year, a lot of women, I mean, I'm so glad that worked out for you, but a lot of women have had hair loss this year. I think from all the stress with everything going on. It's just interesting, just helping some people through that.
Have you been seeing that there's like a common either herb or point that you've been giving to people? I would say like since maybe COVID started, or like since the beginning of your practice, where like everyone kind of more or less across the board is really needing this specific healing?
Yeah, I mean, I think an easy one I can just hold up. So here's like my thumb side, and you go kind of like just right below. There's like a little, like if you go like this, like a little nook. That's it's called lung 9. It's on the thumb side, on the underside of the hand. Okay. And this is an amazing immune point. It's the source point of the lung. So this goes straight to the lung. It helps support the entire meridian. It's awesome. Like sometimes I'll just like put one of those magnets on there and like just stick it on. I see Wade at my office for acupuncture, but I do acupuncture myself. This is like an amazing immune point, and it just helps open up the breath and just helps you with energy. And it's just like an easy one to find. And so that's like a really great one. And like, if you're using crystals, like, anything, like if you like just anything to kind of clear the lungs, if you're feeling so, like you would probably like Apache tear obsidian or just something, or if you wanted to support it, what would be lungs are metal. I'm trying to think metal. I have to find out what that would be like a good, in the Chinese medicine, look the Chinese medicine perspective of crystals, what would be a lung, but I don't know offhand, but maybe in the Chinese medicine thing, but maybe in your magical ways.
Well,
but
when it comes to physical ailments, and I'm like, I always have to look that up. And also, too,
I love it.
Crystals, like I don't tell people physical or stones to help physical ailments unless I've experienced it myself, or have, because I'm just like, I'm not trying to sell you snake oil. If you want like an energetic, absolutely, but you know, the only ones that I've seen that have like worked like a freaking charm, yellow jasper. This one woman came in, she had sciatica for years, and she was like, do you have anything for pain? I go, listen, I was like, there's this yellow jasper. I don't have chronic pain, so I can't speak to it, but they say it's really good for pain management. She came in like 2 weeks later, and she was almost in tears. She was like, Madison, the moment I put that yellow jasper, and by the way, jasper, as you know, is a very slow moving vibration. So
Love
it was
jasper.
like mind boggling that it works so quickly. But she was saying, she's like, since I put that yellow jasper in my pocket, I've not had pain once. She was like, this is after years of this problem. And so so then I'm like, if somebody asks about pain problems, I go, I got a stone for you. But otherwise,
yeah.
you know,
Well, I think it's the same thing where it's like the stones work on different levels. You have the physical, emotional, and spiritual. And so a lot of times I've heard that rose quartz helps with sciatica because we store so much in our hips emotionally. And so I think that everyone's different, right? So like their pain can be caused by different levels of emotions, or it is physical, or you know what I mean? So it's like, that's why it's like nice to do a deep dive and really get to know the people you're working with and look at them at all levels and see like what's appropriate for them. But I think
that's another thing too. Like when someone talks to me about a physical thing, I don't go based off like what the Book of Stone says, like, oh, this has to do with like your lungs or your hips or whatever. Immediately, okay, I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, all right, well, you know, like my lower back hurts. I'll open up the Louise Hay book, Heal Your Body.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, your lower lumbar, okay, this has to do with financial scarcity. I was like, okay, well, I have mahogany obsidian over here, like all these things where it's like, that's how I kind of use that for the physical part. So, but it sounds like it's the same thing, what you're saying. It's like all the overlapping.
Yeah. And that's why really deep listening comes in, you know, and just really taking the time to talk to each person that you're working with and knowing, because I know I have so many tools, right? But like not everyone needs functional medicine, you know, or maybe I have people that just come to me for esoteric acupuncture or just for goddess treatments or just for herbs. You know, it just depends like what people need. But I do love the idea of moving things through the body. So I use like exit points where I pull things out of the intestines or I pull things out of things that are stuck inside and pull them out. And so I do prescribe a lot for people Apache tier obsidian to pull things out and then putting it in salt between each use. And using that at different release points is really awesome. And so like kind of working with, like, that's the cool, like you see it working. So, okay. I love lung 9. I mean, there's so many amazing points. That's an easy one to find.
Is there points in your hand proper?
Like, you know, it's a good one actually for, it's another lung point. It's like right here, kind of in between. Do you feel that? You can kind of feel, if you feel around you all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's sensitive.
So this is amazing for sore throat. So if you, so sore throats aren't always COVID, but even, you know, this is something you can do on yourself if you are feeling a sore throat, like massage this and, you know, or you could use like, because sore throats tend to be fiery, like maybe using like something cooling there.
Like to cool, like a stone would be cooling.
Right, like aquamarine.
Also governs your throat chakra.
Right.
So like a Lenormand blue lace agate or something like that would be so creamy.
So just learn. Yeah, exactly. So you're actually like taking two beautiful things and like the crystal friends are just like helping to make it work.
I'm absolutely standing up to your thing tonight. That's what I'm doing. I'm definitely doing that. I'm like, I can't wait to tell people all about these.
I mean, so there's 12 meridians and then I'm teaching, there's 8 extraordinary ones, which are more magical ones. I'm teaching 3 of them, but the lung one is actually, I think the first one we're doing. So this is lung 9, lung 10. So those are just easy to find and they're both immune, and the lung 10 tends to be more for sore throats. And then the other thing, what was the question? Oh, take home. Okay. The other thing I am finding with COVID is that Chinese herbs are awesome. So I've been taking them for myself and just if people do get COVID, it really helps. And what I'd like to do is that if someone is interested in those herbs, have them just DM me and I can chat for 5 minutes to make sure there's no interactions. Because I think that you really don't want to be taking herbs without someone talking to you for a few minutes and making sure it's okay. But I mean, the herbs that I use, like within taking the herbs within a half an hour, the sore throat goes away. Like, it's pretty awesome. So
Wow.
it actually blocks that cytokine storm that happens in COVID where your immune system goes on fire. So it stops that process. So it stops it at the sore throat. So I use that. And then the one thing I will say also is that without even running labs, we're all deficient in vitamin D. So most people who go on ventilators are low in vitamin D. So that's something to be making sure that you're taking, or if you want to reach out to me to ask dosage and stuff, you're welcome to. But I mean, there's so much you can do, but the vitamin D, if that's one thing, just do that. And it's so cheap. It's like the
Yeah.
cheapest thing. So
Did
yeah.
you catch the live with Nicole, the modern palmist? By any
I
chance?
didn't. Was that recorded? Is there a way to see it?
It was, and then we deleted it. But
Oh,
it was so interesting. You're like talking about these things. I'm like between like you and her talking about these points and all these lines and how they mean so many things. I'm like, there's something also like another, I don't know what it is, but another crossover there.
oh,
That just
okay.
amazing.
Oh my God. I just had a download. Okay.
Yes.
As my friend Diana says, and I say it too.
Yes.
So the other day, my husband and I hike Griffith all the time, and we do this Hog's Back Ridge, which is very steep, and you can see. And he's like, "Oh, look, people are over there," and I totally slipped and fell on my wrist, and I was like, "Oh no, my moneymaker!" Like, like my hands, I can't hurt my hands. So I was fine. I just did some acupuncture and took some turmeric. That's fine. But she was like, "Oh, you know, you fell because you opened up. There's a meridian that's opening up now in everybody. That's like here." So I think
Wow.
there's something happening where people are like waking up, and then this is opening up. So it's another chakra basically that's coming alive. I don't know the name of it. Maybe Laura does. Laura Ellis. She's like my go-to for all those magical things. But I think there is this empowering in our hands. Like, our hands are so healing. And so, like, I don't know, I think there's something going on. I mean, there's other points. I mean, this is like, let's see, this is a heart point in here, can be kind of tender. You know, these points are pretty tender. I don't tend to needle them because it's,
Your hand. I mean, like, that's so
yeah.
intense.
But if
I mean,
you
like
kind of like,
pressure,
yeah, oh, you
right?
could do acupressure, yeah. But like, if you kind of between the fourth and the fifth finger, and you just kind of like press in there, like, you'll feel something.
Yeah.
And that is a point to clear heat in the heart. So there's other points that I use, but I'm just saying, since we're doing hand stuff, like, this
Yeah.
could be another area where you could do a cooling stone to like aquamarine or Larimar or turquoise or whatever, just to bring down what we call like heart fire, too much heat in the heart. So, you know, just, it's kind of fun. It's fun. We have these little portals
That's
on our
fun.
bodies,
I
and
love that.
you know, we need to learn them so we can use them to help ourselves. And then, of course, like, if someone is like really sick and they need antibiotics, like, by all means, you know, like you know, you gotta, you know, if they have a terrible fever, and like, there's things that you have to make sure that you know, you can't be massaging this and you're like, I can't breathe. Like, if you
Yeah.
if you need, like, you need to kind of like use common sense, or reach out to a practitioner who can guide you. But I think that there's so much, because there's so much anxiety stored in the chest, like, knowing a point to open up the lungs is really helpful and boost your immune system. So, but there's more. I'm just not flexible enough to show you my feet.
I'm right there with you, babe.
I need to order like a foot so I can just like point on it. I need to do that. Yeah.
The toenails, the color. Just kidding. But yeah, no, absolutely. And so, how long, if someone's doing these acupressure points, how long does someone like massage it for? Like, what's a good time to bake on that?
So I would think, I mean, that's kind of, I think we watch our shows, like, it's like an event, like, every night. So I always feel like it's a nice, like, when you're watching your shows, just to kind of do that. But, you know, I think if you're using a crystal, probably not very long, or just hold it. If you're using Reiki, probably just a few minutes. If you're massaging it, maybe a few minutes, you know. But you can feel, like, when you start to feel around, you know, you've hit a point. Like, you can feel there's like something there.
Yeah.
So again, that's where like that kind of intuitive, trusting yourself, like, I think I'm good, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what's cool. It's like, you can add other things, or oils. Oils are really helpful. That's a whole other, Marisol, who I work with, is really knowledgeable about oils. that's another thing to tap into on the points. So, which is not my forte. There's only so much I can know right now.
Yeah.
Like
You're
maybe
one
like lavender.
person, right? Like
Lavender's great. Great Marisol.
and like an educator and all these things.
Yeah.
And one thing that when we did our virtual session, and then also in person too, you said the exit points, and there's one between your big toe and your second toe. Is that correct? Am I remembering that correct?
It's God. Okay.
Oh, I mean, you just verbally say, you know,
I'll show you.
I'm really
It's right
impressed.
here. Yeah, actually, I'm quite flexible. Can you see? Can you guys see?
Yes.
Everyone, don't look at my. Well, obviously, no one's getting pedicures. This is done by myself. So it's between the fourth and fifth pinky toe. So if you were looking at your foot, it's here. So
So
I
not in between, like in the webbed part, but like right next to it.
It's like. It's kind of like, it could be right at the web. I do a little, it's a little higher up. There's a point there at the web, but it's a little, it's like it's before the web. It's kind of, if this was a foot. So, it's gallbladder 43. And I just call this the drain point. I forgot I love looking up the translations. I don't remember it offhand. This is great for headaches, but I just kind of imagine when people are in the shower, just kind of using that point to the water to clear it out, or where to put obsidian, just to kind of, because everything gets so stuck. Like this is all gallbladder meridian, and then it goes all the way down, like along like the sides of your legs, like where a lot of people get hip stuff and sciatica, and just so much stuff gets stuck here. So using that point, especially if we cleared out some other things, it just kind of like sweeps it out. So I love that point. And then another point I love, it's called kidney 9. It's called host guest, and I use it to get rid of unwanted guests out of the body. So this is like trauma or old behaviors or thoughts. Cause I do a lot of stuff with addiction and just kind of any old stuff that just needs to be released, and also host new things. So if we're doing a session where we want to bring in more abundance and receiving, adding that point brings things in. And the kidneys are like a deep level of our being. And so working on the kidneys is where things are like really stored deeply. So that point's so awesome. We also use it to bring the soul of the baby into the body when in pregnant people. So it's kind of cool. Like we have these points that can be used both ways. There's a large intestine point I use to help people let go, because the large intestines are about letting go or receive nutrients and receive information. So your body kind of knows, like, oh, we're just going to let go here and then and bring in here. So a lot of the points are adaptogenic, but that gallbladder 43 point I really use a lot in terms of releasing, for sure.
That's amazing.
And clarity.
Where is that located? Like if someone wanted to put an obsidian or an Apache tier there, where is that?
Which one?
The releasing of the host thing.
The host guest?
So eloquently.
Let me see. Okay, so it's kind of, I don't know if I can show you on my leg, because I don't think I'm that flexible.
If it's too involved,
I can show you a picture, but it's on the kidney meridian, about a little less than halfway up the inside of the leg. I don't know. If people want, I can just show them a picture or do like a quick video how to find it on like my husband or someone, because we have a measuring system that's called chun. We measure instead of inches, chun. So it won't mean if I say it's 5 chun above the medial malleolus, to be like, what? But you will know if you take the course, you will know what that means and how to measure that. But it's not a measuring system that is American or English or whatever. But yeah, I can send a picture if people want to know. Just DM me. It's a great one.
I think like people are just, I'm totally sold. I'm so excited to do this. And also too, even if that wasn't in alignment with anybody, I think there's so much information that you gave, and I'm so, so, so grateful.
Oh, me too. Thank you.
And everybody, again, for those who don't already follow Amanda, please do. She does virtual sessions, as she was saying, which are just absolutely fantastic. And it's 100% safe to do it, obviously.
It is.
Now, so if you're, if you're not local or don't want to see in person, it's a great thing. But also sign up for their course. It's in our link tree, and it's also on Amanda's website. Is that in your bio? The link?
It's in the link. Yeah, it's in the link in my bio. And then if you use the code Coven with a capital C, you get $200 off your first payment on the payment plan. So you save $200, and that'll be we'll have that open until it starts on February 16th. So, but anyway, I'm so excited, and it's called High Priestess Healing. And thank you for having me.
Oh, man,
This
I'm
was
so
so
happy.
fun.
This was so nice. This was so lovely, and it's just you're just
Thank
such
you.
a wealth of information. So we're so grateful, and
Thank
I'm so
you.
excited, Madison. I'm so proud of you. Like, what an accomplishment! That's so
Thanks.
cool.
Thank
It's a big deal.
you. I'm proud of you. Oh my gosh. I love your crystal sales. I learned so much, and all your interviews is amazing. Thank you for creating such a space for all of us to share with your community ways to help and empower. So,
Oh, babe, I'm so grateful. Well, I'm giving you a big squeeze, and
big hug.
we'll see you after this. Love you, babe. Thank you, everyone, for
Lots of love.
joining.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay.